And the webinar has begun. I see some folks joining us. I'm in a terrible habit of every time I click that button, I say, we are now live. And it's beginning to annoy even myself. So I'm trying to diversify my phrasing in that capacity right now. But so
you could call action.
I could call action. I could. I mean, I should really start integrating more theater phrases. I work at a theater. This is the product of a theater, but here I am using my Zoom weird lingo. So happy to be here for another week of the lunchroom. Those of you who are watching at home might notice that our friend Mark is not with us this week. Instead, we are being joined by my dear friend and A.R.T line producer, Sophie Ancival. Sophie, thank you for being here.
Hi, Sarah. Thank you for having me. I'm jittery in my chair. I'm trying to do I'm not doing an impersonation of Mark Lunsford. There's no other Mark Lunsford than Mark Lunsford. So it'll just be me, and I hope it will be just okay for everybody.
I think it's more than okay for everyone, especially considering the overall outfit. You look amazing. So it's great. It's fantastic. I want that shirt. I might steal it after this hour, just, the lamppost and the audience. As I mentioned, I'm Sarah Schofield-Manser. I'm ART's Assistant Director of Special Events and Partnerships. I take the she series of pronouns. I am a white woman with shoulder-length dark brown hair, sitting in a spinny chair, wearing a pastel, I call this a dad shirt. It is a vintage pastel button-down shirt that I'm very proud of, that I found in the thrift store, hence I'm spending 5 minutes talking about it. I'm wearing little headphones so that I can hear myself talk. And I'm sitting in a otherwise pretty empty office room. And I've already said that I'm joined today by our lovely friend, ART line producer, Sophie. And in just a minute, I'm going to turn it over to Sophie and our guests. But one thing I would like to remind everyone of is that the last 10 to 15 minutes or so of the hour will be dedicated to answering your questions. You can submit them using the little Q&A feature that's at the very bottom of your screen. So if at any point in the hour you have a question for Sophie or our guests, pop it in there. We'll return to it at the end of the hour. One more little bit of housekeeping before I turn it over to Sophie is that I hope you will all join us next Tuesday for a very special Giving Tuesday edition of The Lunchroom. We are going to be joined by members of the cast and team of Jagged Little Pill for a very special Jagged Little reunion moment. So next Tuesday at 12 p.m., please join us for that. It's going to be super exciting. You can register on our website, and I'll pop a link into the chat. One last thing to acknowledge before I turn it over to Sophie. Take a minute to acknowledge the ancestral land that the Lobe and the Oberon sit upon. The Lobe and the Oberon are both located on unceded territory of the Massachusetts people. And I right now am zooming into you from territory of the Pennacook and Pentucket people in northern Massachusetts. Amazing. Without further ado, Sophie, I'm going to turn it over to you and disappear from your screen forever.
Yes. I mean, not forever, but you will be here. I feel your presence. Here. Thank you so much.
I will be behind. Thank you, Sophie. I'm super excited to listen to y'all speak. So I'll see you later. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye, Sarah. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to host the lunchroom today. It's going to be a good one. Our friend, award-winning poet, rapper, educator, and longtime friend of Oberon, Oompa, is here to join us. And I will call on Oompa to pull on her camera. Yay! Hi, Oompa.
How are you?
I'm so good. How are you?
Thank you.
And another longtime friend, Amelia Mason, arts and culture reporter at WBUR, is here as well with us, co-hosting with me today. Amelia, hi.
Hello.
How are you?
How's it going?
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. So how about we do... No, that's really good. How about we do a short round of introduction just to know who we are. I'll start. I'm Sophie Ancival. I am one of the line producers at A.R.T, programming Oberon as well with my colleague Emma Watt. And I take the She, Her, Hers series. And right now I am, always actually, I am a Black woman with dreadlocks. Right now I am wearing the red lipsticks and big hoop earrings and a black, ruffly, shiny shirt. I'm here in Massachusetts, in Somerville, where I live currently. Oompa, why don't you start with us?
Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Oompa. I'm an artist. Right now, I'm a music artist. Maybe sometimes, I don't know. I'm an artist.
Yes, more than that. So much more than that.
I'm an auntie also. I'm a sister, an educator, and a poet. So I'm really happy to be here. I'm a Black woman. And today, I have locks as well. Today, they're up kind of like a tree, I guess. And I have a multicolored scarf, a yellow shirt, a black leather jacket, and I'm in my studio space in Lynn, which has really pretty Aztec brick orange walls and a dirty floor.
So cool. I mean, there's a nice carpet on the floor. And Amelia, who is going to be hosting with me. Amelia, why don't you present yourself a little bit so people can know a little bit more about where you are?
Yeah, I'm Amelia Mason. I'm an arts and culture reporter at WBUR, occasionally a critic. I'm very critical. And I used to cover a lot of music in the Boston area. My main beat for a while, so I've done a bit of coverage. Oompa and other hip hop around here. I'm in Cambridge. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm a white woman with glasses and a blazer. Public radio.
The outfit, the look. That's good.
Look, it's a standard issue. They give you this blazer.
Awesome. That's amazing. So great. Thank you both. Thank you both for joining me today and being here. I think we could start a little bit with a little bit of the genesis of how we know each other. I mean, we're all longtime friends of the Oberon, Oompa. We've worked together many years, but I think there's a long story behind it that's worth knowing, right? You started working with us. You started performing at Oberon almost 5-10 years ago?
No, so a good friend of mine, Jadi, does an annual show at the Oberon called Energy that started about 10 or 11 years ago now. And I was at the first one. I've been ever since then. So for the last 10 years, just kind of like watching all of the events happen that were in the space that she would put on. And then around 2016, I started to perform and have conversations about maybe being in the building outside of Energy. And then I did Energy. I performed at it in 2017. And then I think that year and every year after, I've been working with you guys on something. So it's been a long love relationship.
Yeah, I remember the progression of seeing you. I remember 2 years ago when we contacted you and we were like, do you want to do a show? And you were like, yeah. And Black Boy Joy came out of it. And then last year with Cleo, which was amazing and kind of introducing that aspect of storytelling within the whole story, because you're more than what people often qualify you as, a rapper and a poet, but you do much more than that, and your storytelling is just about amazing. And I think the genesis of Unbothered is a little bit related to that, right? So do you want to tell us a little bit about Genesis? I know I called you, we called each other in like April or May last year in the middle of the pandemic, trying to figure out, right, is there something that we can do in this year? And that's when the conversation started. And where like, what was the situation for you and where did it take you? How did it start?
Yeah, I think, this year, as everybody knows, has been a year. It's been the longest 5 years of my life this year. And I feel so when the pandemic hit I thought it was going to be a couple months, and then, like it wasn't, it was quite a few months. And I was really nervous about the industry, like of music, like the ability for me to have a career still. And I love the stage. The stage is my favorite place to be as a music artist. In general, it's my favorite place to be. I'm a middle child. I don't know, maybe there's something to it, but I love being on stage and like being able to see that as canvas and to put myself and my story and my art on it and around it. And so when I reached out to y'all, I was like, okay, nobody's in the space right now. Nobody's in any space. Maybe there's something that we can do to work out some virtual programming for the Instagram show. The show that ended up being an Instagram show. I called it the new shit show. And then that didn't necessarily work out because there's like a lot going on with the pandemic. And then finally, I think it was in July, I talked to you and Emma, and we were like, okay, we got some ideas. Like, let's put this show together. Here are all the constraints. Here's the pandemic. Here's our concerns. What can we do with this? And Unbothered kind of came out of that, which, like, I think for me was on every level about taking what I have and making the best out of it. Taking this pandemic and still putting my heart into something. Taking, like the place in my life where I am, thinking about all of these different things as they've come down, between mental health, between Black people dying at exorbitant rates, between the pandemic, between the political atmosphere, like everything was just crumbling. It seemed like, and it was still some semblance of hope with this show. And it was like, I'm going to work to be unbothered. Like, that's my work this year, is to like figure out how to just be present and unbothered and unmoved by things that are outside of my control and outside of now. And so that show was supposed to just like take us through the day of an attempt to do that.
Yeah. And you had created some new music, right? That you've integrated in the show, right? Can you talk about the show a little bit? And it's for everybody watching. Unbothered is still online on the A.R.T website. You can have access to it until December 8th. So I really encourage you to see it. But can you tell us a little bit more about the show and the new music and the music that is on it and what it means to you?
For sure. So I think that for me, I made a specific choice. I think that a lot of my music thus far has been, when I made November 3rd, I had a lot on my heart. I had a lot of trauma that I think that I was experiencing and that I needed to get out of my body. But then that illuminated to me that there was still a lot of work ahead. And I think Cleo for me was the callousness that formed as a result of realizing that I had all this work to do, but not being quite sure that I wanted to let people in to my life at that time in a certain way. And so using the characterization of Cleo helped me get some distance from my own story while also still allowing me to see it, as it was. And I think the important thing for me in my life at this moment, but also in my music and also in Unbothered, the show, was for those people who have been watching like my story kind of unfold, I think it's important to not just live for me in what's behind me and all the trauma that's made me, but also to now focus on the beauty and the portal that has been open for me to walk into, which shows promise for me to have a fulfilling life, and one that honors my history and my story, but also one where now I can acknowledge that and then move in joy and move in love and move in liberation or towards liberation. And I want people to know that the trauma ain't all there is to me, but like there is promise of a life. And so Unbothered incorporated a lot of new music with a lot of singing that I'm not used to doing, but I knew it was a part of me trying to step out of my mold. And did I execute everything well? No, but I felt really free and liberated from this idea that I can't sing on stage or that I can't express myself in this way and I can't be this kind of vulnerable. So I think Unbothered is full of the vulnerable music, but the music that shows real promise and that the light is not just at the end of the tunnel, but it's right above at all times. And so that was really my hope.
Yeah, and it was so powerful. And I totally feel you, seeing the show together and each song and seeing you stretch what I know about you and like experiencing that, despite being behind the screen and everything, I could feel the same energy of like promise and like future and opening and healing and liberation, as you say. And that's the feeling I have every time I hear you sing, to be honest. But but it's like it's a fun part. Amelia, I'm sure you have questions to ask. Why don't I want to share a little bit, since we're talking so much about Unbothered, why don't I share a little clip that we have of Unbothered, like right deep down in I Want the Sky, and there's like an awesome transition that like shows actually that stretch of like you singing into you rapping, and some also awesome work of shout out to the Oberon team, like some awesome work of the Oberon team that's in display right there. So why don't I start with sharing that, and then Amelia, whichever question you want to ask Oompa as well. Let me share that. Let's see if I make it as smooth as it can be.
You will.
It's always somewhat of a question with right there. Okay, so we're right here.
I mean, we look so cute in this yellow, this canary yellow.
It is awesome. Okay, let's start right here.
Well, what you say, ladies? Me and my sisters, we like Cleo and them. We like Cleo and them. We like Cleo and them. I said, me and my sisters, we like Cleo and them. I'm talking about said the dog, not the mind reader and shit. Me and my sisters, we like Cleo and them. We like Cleo and them. So we like Cleo and them. I said, me and my sisters, we like Cleo and them. I'm talking about said the dog, not the mind reader. It's like, I don't want to see you. She did. Baby, ain't nothing. But what you say, ladies? Hey, you want to take us to DC real quick? Chevy got a big old butt. Chevy got a big old butt. Oh, got a big old trunk. He on the keys on Never's on the drum going thumb. Mike is sitting down on his butt. We about to turn the butt. I want the sky. Let's go. Yes, yes. Oh God.
Yeah. Now that's a great moment. That's like that's like the fun.
Thank you. It took us way too long to figure out that transition with my band, but like they put in work to get that transition done. Like so like I wanted it to be this moment where it was like, you know, one, I know people like the song Cleo and them. So I wanted to offer that as a moment, but I also wanted it to be like, you know, this could sneak based on what the song I Want the Sky is about. This moment could definitely, the ego could definitely sneak in there and be like, well, look, Cleo, we like Cleo and then we could come if we want to. But then it was like this moment of being like, nah, we're going to celebrate. Like, we're going to celebrate the triumph. We said we want the sky. We're going to go for the sky right now. And then when we did the like go-go and like the, you know, the butterfly, and it just reminded me of like my mother's house parties. And that's what we wanted, was that celebration. So that was a good time. Yeah.
Yeah. That's really great. You know, I don't want to get too technical, but I was, you know, watching this, like, I think not very many independent artists get an opportunity to like choreograph what's essentially a concert, but like there's no audience, but you are being filmed, which means that everything is going to be received differently, right? Like it's going to be up on, you know, tight on you. Sometimes it's going to be far. You have to think about all of that along with like the set and all the transitions and stuff. I was just curious, like, is this something you thought about before, and how did you sort of approach it?
Yeah, I think that for me, I think that it is something that I thought about before in terms of like choreographing or, you know, this kind of, I really enjoy thinking about who's on stage. What does it look like? What's on stage with me? You know, what is the story? How do we use as many different elements as can add to the story? You know, whether it's video or like, comedy from the band, like so I love really thinking about all of those different parts, but it was incredibly difficult with no audience. And then, you know, the Oberon did an amazing job on all levels, particularly on the technological side, right? But like also with safety. And so a lot of it was like, There were times where there was just this realization that we were in this moment often. You know, it would be like, we're doing this thing and then we have to go wash hands. And then like, not too many people can be in the bathroom, or like, you know, we're talking and chilling. It's like, everybody put your mask on. And it's like, there was this constant moment in the freedom of creating and being in the moment that was a constant reminder, and not on the Oberon's part, but because the pandemic exists and we were trying to do this as safely as possible. But there was just always this moment that like, this is different. This is a different time. And so that was really challenging. And it was really challenging to think that, you know, no one was there to see, like, you know, like usually when we mess up, everybody sees that, and it's just a part of the show, and you keep it moving. And one of the beauties of doing it like this, but also one of the, you know, I guess again, kudos to Oberon, was that, you know, a lot of the mess ups that happen, you guys don't see in the show, because we were able to do them over and over and over again, but again, to no one. So it presented so many like great opportunities around that kind of stuff. Like, did my makeup smudge? Was I sweating too hard? Let's do it again. The song wasn't right. So it presented opportunities in that way, but there were a lot of challenges around. I love people and I love connecting, and that's the major reason we do it. And so not having those people in the room was really challenging. Yeah.
Yeah, that sort of dovetails into one of my other questions, which is, I mean, you know, the pandemic hits in March and everything shuts down and all the gigs are canceled. And slowly we start to see that like, it's going to be this way for a while. As an artist, what do you do? Like, how do you keep creating in this moment?
Yeah, I think when the pandemic hit, first I was like, oh, the world is showing its butt. And I knew it was like this. So I felt sane, because usually I'm over here like, look at the world, everybody. And I'm like, yo, chill, like just eat your cornflakes, relax, like, you know, chill out. And finally everybody's like, it's on fire, it's on fire. So I'm like, girl, I knew it. You know, I don't want cornflakes today. I'm chilling. I don't know, you know, like Eggs Benedict. And
it's affirming, really.
It is
right.
so, yeah.
But then it was like, oh, okay, your career, like this thing that, you know, like you love so much is jeopardized. And it really sat me down for a minute, because I realized that I took my identity out of all of the things before that caused me suffering and put them into being an artist. And my whole identity being an artist also created some suffering for me, because, or not being an artist, but being an artist and thinking about industry, that really stifled me, because it made me like it made me realize is what I've been doing is I've been neglecting my relationships with people. I've been neglecting my own growth and healing because I'm busy, because I have a goal. I want to buy back Roxbury. And I can't sit down too long because somebody else is going to take it, or my career is not, you know. So I think that the pandemic allowed me to really fall on my butt in a lot of different ways. And I think I've decided over the last couple of years to not, you know, ingest the different names of Black people who are continuously murdered by law enforcement and white supremacy. But I couldn't ignore the bigness of both Breonna Taylor and George Floyd. And when I watched Chappelle's 846, at the end of it, I had this feeling that I was like, oh, damn, the only way Black people are going to find liberation is if we choose death on our own and don't let anybody choose it for us. And that put me in a really bad place. It put me in a really sad place of being like, do I want to be here? Like, what does it take to have liberation? What do I really want? And, you know, ultimately decided, like, if I'm going to be here on this earth, like I'm going to choose to make, and I'm going to choose to be in love, and I'm going to choose my friendships, and I'm going to choose my relationships. I'm going to choose my healing. I'm going to choose my ancestors. I'm going to choose wellness. I'm going to choose those things, because otherwise, what is the point? The career is a choice. Like, and then I see, you know, if the pandemic hits and threatens that, then my whole sense of self is threatened. So like, it can't be about the career. It has to be about the art, and it has to be about making and love. And so for me, choosing to still make in this time is a matter of being like, I made a deal to be on earth, and this is a part of my deal. So what impact on your actual like work do you think that attitude, like approach and like attitude shift has had? What approach? I think the work has been all over the place, like me. It's been scattered.
Yeah.
But the thing is I feel like for the first time, I love everything I'm making because it has a life, not because it's going to do something for me or because somebody else is going to appreciate it or like it or not like it. You know, I love it because it lives and it was made and it's whole. And I think that's a place that I haven't been in before. And I think that that's going to allow me to do a number of different things I didn't know I could do. Like the song I just put out is like a dance, like a house / hip hop song. And like, when I was making Cleo, if I ever thought that I was going to make that song and put it out, I had another thing. I wouldn't have done that. I had a grudge. I had a chip on my shoulder. I wanted people to know I could rap. That's not a song I would put in. Now I don't feel like I have anything to prove. I just have things to make and to say and to feel, you know, and to share.
And well, it's an awesome video, and we'll have a small extract of it.
Thank you.
Toward the end of as an offering for everybody watching today, we'll have an offering for that. It brought one question for me as to the importance of like working together, and you're talking about liberation. Liberation never happens alone. And do you want to talk to us a little bit about like, because in the progression that we've seen, at least that I've seen you through Oberon, is seeing you grow as an artist and being on your own and having a team of collaborators that grew and grew and grew with you. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, about like having more and more people around you and supporting your idea and your idea of liberation and your artistic vision? Yes.
I think we can start with, especially because you were talking about seeing my growth through the Oberon. I have to mention the Oberon to say that I know what's possible on stage because of my relationship to the Oberon. I think, you know, Skip particularly babies me, but like everyone else.
Our production manager. Skip, our production manager at Oberon.
Yes, and even like the whole audio and lighting team, them too. Like, you know, but like I think the point is that anytime I've ever done anything with you, I say, hey, I want the moon. And everyone's like, all right, let's go get the moon. Cool. It's going to be an excursion. We'll be back. We'll bring the moon and we'll figure out. We'll do a tech rehearsal. And so I have to say thank you because this whole thing about creating and really growing as an artist is about figuring out how big your imagination is, I think, and how far you're willing to go to explore and ask questions and like, you know, have fun or to excavate. And I think that the Oberon really centers that. And I appreciate that. And I think the other thing too is like, you know, my band has been a huge, huge part of my growth as well, particularly my background vocalist, which includes Tay, it includes Jordan Harley, and it includes Shell. Before I didn't have background vocalists and they serve as in the band background vocalists, but outside of that, they're like my closest friends and confidants and people who hold me accountable to myself, people who check me, who want me to grow, who like challenge me musically, who look to me for guidance, but also who I look to for guidance. And it's just been amazing to like the people I love and who I ride with in real life to watch them alongside me in my career and really boost me. Like I don't question anything. Like when I need to do it and I want to do it and I believe in it, I don't have the millions of dollars to do it. They don't care. They're like, okay, what's the idea and where do we have to be and when? Jordan is from California and will fly back to Boston to make sure it happens. You know, Tay could be in the middle of work. She's bringing her laptop to do the sound check. You know, like, and those are kind of people that I'm around. And then now, as of March, I have a management team who have been like both insulation and fortress for me in a way that I need. Like, they're like, when they see me, like, they're like, go ahead, have the big idea, do whatever you want to do. We're going to back it 1,000,000%. And when I fall, they're kind of just like, they give me a thin round of insulation, but like they also build this fortress around me to protect. Like there have been a lot of hard things that I've experienced over the last few years as an artist. And they have really, 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 been a saving grace and really been protective of me. And someone at a different panel that I was on made this joke like, John, don't let nobody get close to you. And I was like, he sure don't, man. He sure don't. Like, and so shout out to my team, particularly John and Rachel for holding me down. So yeah.
Yeah. I want to ask something that came up a little earlier in something you said about buying back Roxbury.
Yeah.
I wonder if you could talk a little bit about that idea and also just what it means to be a Boston musician who's kind of, it seems, committed to sticking around, at least for the time being. No, maybe not.
I'm here. Actually, yes, I think some part of me is still grappling with this idea, with the possibility that my investment in Boston means I have to leave it for a little bit of time. In the same way I did with college, it was an investment in myself as a human being, and the best place for me to be at that time was Pennsylvania. And Pennsylvania won't be the best place for music, but maybe. Anyways, but I this idea of buying back Roxbury for me is like the ultimate goal. It like I believe that like I think that there's the part of me that loves to make and that is an artist and wants to continue to grow there. And then there's the industry part of that, like how I want to situate my art in this machine so that it can generate things also. And so as I'm talking about the machine, I want to be able to get to a place where people that look like me aren't getting pushed out of Roxbury because they can't afford to live there. I don't want us to have nice things only when we're about to get kicked out. I don't want the schools to be to not have drinkable water and to have metal detectors and for people to be evicted or like on a regular basis when we live in one of the like when we know where we live. I don't want I'm trying to basically, through my music, build legacy and build wealth and also amass the right kind of power to make decisions alongside the people I love and care about, and not just for them, and not as an outsider who doesn't understand anything about them. And so that's my big dream. And I think it's really difficult to be it's really a beautiful thing to be a Boston artist, because I think our scene is scrappy as hell, particularly when we're talking about Black music. It's like we have done an amazing job of doing it for ourselves. Like when the venues didn't and don't let us use their spaces, a living room will do just fine. And the living room will have a sold out show, and that sold out show will pay somebody's bills. And that's the kind of city that I live in. Being from Roxbury, Dorchester, Mattapan, like that's what that is symbolic of being from those places. And so and Brockton and all those other places, that's symbolic of being from there. And so I think the music scene reflects that. But at the same time, it hasn't been, the easiest thing to do, to be in the industry you're in, and also be in a city where people still have to be convinced that the music is worth investing in, and the scene is worth investing in. So,
yeah. I mean, you're touching on another kind of topic I wanted to get to, which is sort of, Boston hip hop and hip hop adjacent music, and it's been celebrated maybe more in the media than in the past. Well, I don't know how to.
Well, I mean, we got to thank you too, Amelia, because
no, it's not about me.
Thank you, Amelia.
No, we really do, because the work you've done to like the fearless work you've done of like being like, yo, and like also as a white person have been like, yo, like putting a light, like a real mirror to the city about like who we say we are versus who we are. And then it's like, well, who do you want to be? And it's like, because they're going to do it regardless. And they've been doing it regardless. But I think you've really been challenging folks, gatekeepers, to like think about who they say they are and who they want to be and like make some real changes. So gotta thank you for that too.
I try. I think the thing you might be most referencing is a few years ago, just for anyone who's watching doesn't know, I did do a pretty in-depth article just talking to people in the hip hop scene about how hard it is to get gigs at venues around here. Especially if you're kind of in a smaller mid-size level where you're kind of trying to break in or just get experience. There's so many bars around here that will book like any old indie band, but like just didn't put hip hop on the bill. People gave lots of reasons for that. Some more disingenuous than others probably. And that was a conversation that I did not start. It was already being done, but we tried to put some real reporting behind it to give it a little bit of heft. And I do think that it was somewhat helpful. And I've also witnessed, a lot of there's great music happening here and also around, not even just in Boston, Brockton, other places, lots of places. I did wonder if you could talk a bit about how you characterize the hip hop scene and the kind of hip hop, like I said, hip hop adjacent music in this area right now, truthfully, good and bad. How would you kind of put it?
I think scrappy is the word I continue to use. There's a lot. There are a few hustlers, and by hustlers I mean people who can find a way with anything that they're given. I think there's a lot of just rich music, just good and vast and different. There's different ranges of music happening, different ranges of abilities happening, that exist. And then I also think that because we've been in a city where we ain't had it for a long time, a lot of us have a scarcity mentality where it's if someone has something, it means that they can't, or, they're going to hoard all of this stuff and then not give it to anybody else because they don't know when the next time they're going to have it. And my philosophy has always been if I take 10 apples and I keep them for a month, they're going to go rotten. But if I give somebody one and then I go hungry, somebody's going to remember that I fed them and they're going to give me an apple back when they have it. That's just how I get down. But but I think there's a lot of scarcity. And I think that there's a lot of, I think people have used the word cliquey, which I don't like because I think everybody has their community. But I think there's a way of, I want to see a community of people that support, not because they feel like it's going to give them opportunity or because they have to, but because that person exists and because they're doing something and doing it well. Yeah. I want to see more.
Yeah, I'm wondering what you think. A lot of venues are getting shut down because they can't make any money right now.
Yeah, totally.
There seems to be no government support for them. So, do you think that will hurt the hip hop scene around here? Do you think it will have an impact?
I think no. Hurt. Yes, hurt, but will it have long-term implications? I think there will be some people at the end of this pandemic who realize they don't want this. The instability of being an independent artist, the insecurity financially that always is kind of there. I think there will be people who decide at the end of this that that's not what they want, but they want to keep rapping. But I really believe that a lot of the people here doing it want this for life. They want it for real, in a real way. And so in that way, I think that when the pandemic is over, I think a lot of people, there will still be a lot of people standing, as in still here trying it. I do think a lot of what we have built as a community of people has been the in-person stuff, the shows, really doing the live shows in a real way, having people show up to believe in what it is that you're doing. It's really hard to really get invested and swept up in the experience of something and someone if you can't be physically present. But I've already also seen a lot of people adjust to this virtual world. So I think it's gonna have some hurt and some impact, but I think we'll be able to bounce back. And I think we'll be smarter at the end of this in terms of how we operate. I know I will. I'll be smarter about business once I get out of this.
Yeah.
Because I've been living I want to go here. Okay, let's eat out 10 times. Let's go to oysters every other day. And then the pandemic hit, and I'm like, I'll see you when I see you, Charlie. I don't. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, and the goal is to create space.
Yes.
Or at least I thought about it as creating space for artists. So I hope that it's felt on the artistic side that a space is created. And there's definitely a demand in everybody trying to find a way to get to the arts. It's not clear yet, but I think a moment like that with us sitting around the table is an expression of how arts culture can be expressed in a different way. And it's about the music, and it's about much more. It's also about the conversation. It's about understanding what is behind the music and what the artists want to say. So I'm glad there's still some space. I hope there is more space within a community of venues and people continuing to make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hearing Oompa talk about it, though, I do think my biggest worry is for individual artists, just like weathering this storm, because it was already so precarious, and not to be a big downer. Things aren't great right now.
I'm with you.
What would you tell venues? I mean, like, what would you like? What is helpful in this moment? That's always a question that I have to artists whenever we approach someone, and we're like, we have this venue, or we have this moment, or we have this talk show right here. It's like, Oompa, if you had to say to the people that are watching us and even further, like, what's helpful to you as an artist? What could be helpful?
Money. I don't know. There's nothing in this moment right now that is more important than, because the thing is like, I've been blessed to not feel this in the same way, but I have not in a long time had to make a decision between rent and creation. Like rent next month and creation. Like, there's always this sense of, this spring might be different from last spring. This fall might be different from last fall. But, at least the way that I've been operating, it's really been easy to know, like, it's really, I can really take risks and still be able to move. And I think this pandemic is really tightening the amount of decisions and creativity one can have, for me at least. And so, that creates a whole set of different problems to respond to, instead of being able to make, and instead of being able to build community and to invite people in and to make things that people feel and love. It's really just been, so I think one of the biggest things right now is like finances, like, buy artists music, buy their merch, send them Venmos. I don't know, like, if you have it, but like but I think the other thing is, I don't know, because it's really difficult to say, just because, like, if it were up to me, having the opportunity to, perform and do more live shows, or like if there was any way to do more of what we did at the Oberon. But I can imagine all of the logistics that went into that might not be feasible for every venue. So I there's that. It's really a time, because I don't even have an answer. And I guess the other thing too is like, the one thing that's always the most important thing for me is if you like me or like my music, because they can be two separate things. Tell your cousins, tell your aunts, tell somebody else, because the more people listening, the better the energy that comes your way, I imagine, and the more opportunities come your way. And quite frankly, the more people who can buy your music or buy your merch, the better for my ability to live. So
yeah, I second that. I just did a piece on Spotify and how little money artists can make streaming. So buying merch is the best thing, any kind of merch. T-shirts. If you don't listen to CDs or records or MP3s,
cool. A T-shirt.
Buy a T-shirt. Buy a tote. I don't know if Oompa has a tote.
I don't have a tote yet, but I will have a tote now.
You'll take the pointers to the tote.
I sure will. I sure will.
I think it's a good moment to kind of like get a little more insight of like what you've created. And you were saying, if you like me or if you like my music, I think it's a good moment to give an occasion to like the music. So I'll give the first minute of Closer is really beautiful. It was like, it had an eerie feeling, so I thought it was a good one to share. So why don't I do that? Okay, so same thing again. I'm going to try to not fall on my face to do that. Okay. And let's go.
Woke up this morning, long clock beating by the sun. Can't be late to work no more, cause it starts when I wake up. I don't need no punch card, all I need me is a pen and a badass woman. Love me crazy, but we friends. I said, what is on my sofa now? What is on my sofa, shorty? Get a little closer now. Get a little closer for me. Get a little louder now. Let it come over, baby, pour it on me. Now it's a fifth day here, we ain't wearing no clothes. Put some cheese up in them grits, wipe the sleep up out my corner, she love me. Maybe we in too deep, we just having fun. If we don't wake the sun, you still be the one in my dreams. What for a Negro's apocalypse?
No, I didn't want it to stop.
I'm actually so proud of that. I'm so proud of it.
It's so good.
Thank you.
It's so good. It's so different. And the looks are amazing.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's an amazing video. You produced it in collaboration, right?
Yeah.
And that was really cool. I think we have, hold on. Yes, Jonathan. Yes, John. Thank you for the link to Unbothered in the chat if you want to see it, and also the link to the full Closer music video. I think we have some questions in the Q&A. Emily Wilson, hi Emily, is asking, Oompa, if you could collaborate with any artist or musician, who would your dream collaboration be with?
Oh man, that's hard. I'm gonna choose 3 just because.
You can dream big.
If I could go back in time, it would be James Brown or Aretha Franklin. Now it would be either Childish Gambino or Kendrick Lamar.
Childish Gambino, huh?
Yeah. I think that he represents. I didn't like him for a long time. I didn't like him. I thought he was corny for a long time. Forgive me, Childish Gambino, whatever you are. But I think that it's because,
Nothing. Sorry.
Oh, I think I was projecting the things that I didn't necessarily like about myself or things I didn't like about him. Like his vulnerability, his nerdiness, his quirkiness, a lot of things I wasn't accepting about, or his ability to be hard and, like street. I didn't like that he didn't have that, but then tried to when he wanted to. I didn't like that. But I think that the things I didn't necessarily like about him were the things I was rejecting in myself. So now as I'm like trying to be my fullest self and expansive and big and unafraid of the medium, like I really, really respect and admire him. So
yeah, he's so musical.
He is. But then he wrote Atlanta, right? Like it produced it, which is like super dope. He's just good, and I don't like his stand up at all, but he's not afraid of it,
Yeah. And he started singing a lot too, more like sort of rappers singing.
Yeah, and this
You're the boss to Childish Gambino.
Yeah. Oh my God!
Okay, we'll work on that. Emily's like, okay, how do we bring Oompa and Childish Gambino together at Oberon? I guess that's a good goal in life. We will definitely work on that.
I'm just gonna get you, Emma, and Skip in the same room, and it'll happen.
Yes, we'll find a way. It's all about the dream. You put it out. It starts with a thought. You put it out there. Somehow it happens.
Yes.
Noreen Major is asking if you could recommend a few artists to support. She says that she loves merch and will be shopping online this week. The holidays are coming, y'all. Support local artists, support your musicians. So love merch and will be shopping online this week. Not to put you on the spot for a recommendation, she says, but merch is one of her favorite love language. So if there's anybody that you want to shout out and that you want to, like send love to,
yes,
go ahead.
I don't know if they necessarily have merch, but these are Dalaun, Dalaun. I love her. She's an R&B soul pop kind of artist. She's just dope. and she has vocals for days. And she just a beautiful spirit, beautiful soul, and like my family, support her. I would highly recommend that. Who do I? Who? Dang. Okay.
While you think a little bit, I'll shout out some because I know that they've all opened for you every single time you've been at Oberon. So, and Jimmy, Keovani, and Brandy Blaze
Yes.
have all performed together and are actually also on the American Repertory Theater for like a special performance for Virtually Oberon as well. So send them love as well.
For all three of them, they are all dope. And some of my, my boos. I love me some Brandy Blaze and Jimmy Lee, the whole nine, Keovani, yeah. Who else? Dang, I really don't know. The boys in the Van Buren boys are really
yeah.
Van Buren boys are killing it. Latrell James has new merch that's really, really dope.
That's a great recommendation.
Yeah.
That's already like amazing.
Yeah.
And then we can always also think about it and put something on our page and like share some love with local artists.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's totally. Or follow Oompa on Insta. I know you have like that life on social media. This is so good every time.
Thank you.
So good. And I know there was one question in the chat that I'm going to pick up. Pamela Fox is asking, how can one guarantee the max benefit dollars gets back to the artist? She said that she's donated to Patreon, but wondering if merch is better.
Merch usually is better especially when it's not hosted. If the artist is doing their own kind of like shipping, like if you get merch from me, it's coming like from my living room. And so I think that is the quickest way to get the money. Like I think direct, like if you direct sales are the best way to do it. And then
Patreon
is really good. Patreon is really good. I haven't started a Patreon yet. We've been talking about it on my team. Patreon's another good one. And then streaming is beautiful because it helps people find your music. But I think in terms of what supports artists, definitely merch, direct donations, grants, that kind of thing, and Patreons, yeah.
And that's Bandcamp Friday. Bandcamp has been waiving its fees once a month or something. I have to look up when the Friday is, but that's the day to buy the merch. If you're looking for like, I want to download their music or buy their merch, like Bandcamp won't take the cut that they usually do.
And you can determine how much you want to send that person for that particular merch item. Yeah.
Bandcamp is very good.
Yeah.
I mean, trying to get the money to the artist, one artist at a time. That's the goal. That's the goal.
Yeah.
That's how it goes. We're about 5 minutes out, and thanks, John, again. The Instagram and Twitter for Oompa are directly in the chat if you want to follow on Insta and follow on Twitter. It's pretty cool. I see it all the time, and there's like some cool shout outs and always the new music and everything coming out. So it's pretty cool. I was wondering what's coming up for you, but like, what are you working on? What are the things that inspire you for like the year to come? We're still in the pandemic, but hey, there's still life, there's still creation. So what's the future for you?
Yeah. So other than the future still being until December 8th with the Unbothered show that you I am working on new music to be released. Finishing. I started and I hope to finish by the beginning of the year. My chapbook of poetry, because I picked that back up in the pandemic, strangely enough. I wrote and directed the new video, and I'm really interested in getting more into directing other short films and that kind of thing with Simon Morrison and Damon Mahia. We're going to be doing some stuff together. So those different things to come, for sure.
Ooh, can we see like a short feature or a longer feature Oompa directed video? I'm excited. This is like...
So excited.
This is really cool. Actually, I will say I'm so glad to hear that you're picking back up the poetry. I was roaming on TikTok. For those who know me, I have a TikTok obsession. Please join in. But I saw a clip of you, like maybe, I don't know, somewhere in Philly, like maybe
Decatur, Georgia.
Yeah, maybe 10 years ago or something like that. And that was
4 years ago. I look like a baby. Yeah. Yeah.
And that was awesome. So that was so cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to pick it back up. I'll be screaming a lot less in the performance, hopefully. So it'll be more enjoyable.
Totally. Amelia, what's coming up for you? What's going on at WBUR, and what is next? Trying to report on all things.
Oh, I should have prepared for this. I'm like, when's our next fundraiser? Probably have a holiday fundraiser. Give money to public radio. Support public radio, please. Sorry, did not look up the next drive. I should have thought about that.
Oh, we can have it up for you.
Yeah. Or I'm just working my usual stuff. We're getting ready for our end of the year lists type of thing. We're going to be, kind of looking back at the year, favorite music, local music, and favorite. Now I just had this idea that maybe we should do like recommendations for best merch.
Yes.
Artists. And then actually we're going to be relaunching. So I had this series called Sound On, where we're trying to, we highlight up and coming local artists, musicians specifically, and it was sort of a big profile and a radio feature, and then like a big photo shoot. And we like launched it kind of in January, and then like got 2 of them out, and then like pandemic hit and everything just blew up, and we couldn't do a photo shoot. We couldn't, we couldn't do the things. So we're going to be relaunching it in the winter, in January or February, and trying to really highlight, the best and brightest of Boston area musicians.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. Sound On. We'll tune into Sound On. That's really cool. Oompa, any word that you want to share? Any more word that you want to share with people from your studio, and that you want to share with all of us? We have a few minutes left, and I want to be sure that this is the moment. This is not the only moment. There's no scarcity here.
Yeah. No,
but this is a moment.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always good to see you, Sophie. Always good to see you, Amelia. Glad we got to chat. Thank you for everyone tuning in who asked questions. Thank you for your future support. Support local artists. Support public radio. Just take care of yourselves and each other. That's my hope.
That's awesome. On these good words, if there's no more question coming into the chat, I will say goodbye to everyone, and hoping to see you. We will see each other very soon. Hoping to see each other in person very soon, I think, is the thing that we can hope to, every single one of us, and to see each other at a concert in person. How about we wish each other that anytime soon. Have a good day, everyone. Have a good rest of your day. Thank you for tuning in. One last message before you sign up to Tuesday episode. Next week, the special Giving Tuesday episode of the Lunchroom be hosting a mini Jagged Little Pill reunion hosted by Diane Paulus, and with some special guests. I'm sure there will be plenty of surprises. So remember to register, tune in, join us, give money to all the organizations that you support so that they can continue create in this moment. And have a good rest of your day, y'all.
You too. Thank you, Sophie.
Nice to see you.
Bye. Take care.